The Blue Jays are in the playoffs. That's good. Is it a fluke? Is it just the rules that got changed? Or did their manager, Charlie Montoyo, help them get there? Is he a good manager? Let's dive down that rabbit hole. Rick Zamperin, every time I hear Charlie Montoyo's name, I think of that guy from Princess Bride. You killed my father, prepare to die. Inigo Montoyo, whatever his name was. Is Charlie Montoyo a good manager, or did he just happen to inherit and get a Jays team that arrived when the rules changed to expand the playoffs, and so, you were going to get in probably, and doesn't really say anything about you?
I would say that he's had a good season. Yeah, there's some good, really up-and-coming good prospects on this team, good players on this team. Ross Atkins deserves a pat on the back for some of the pieces that he's added. Not to say they're, a World Series favorite, because they're not. They're the 8th seed in the American League. But I think overall Charlie's done a good job because they dealt with some injuries. They dealt with the whole COVID-shortened season, playing their home games in Buffalo. That was a lot to take in. And I think as a manager, he kind of guided this team and steered the ship in the right direction. And, they're above 500. They're in the playoffs, all check marks across the board. However, over the weekend, he was asked who his Game 1 starter for this wild card series against Tampa Bay is going to be. That series begins on Tuesday. And he didn't outright name Hyunjin Ryu, who's the ace of the staff. He was brought in from the Dodgers to be the guy in this situation. I think he fumbled the ball. He shouldn't be mulling over this situation. This should be an automatic. I'm sure it sends a bad message to the franchise when you don't name your ace for Game 1 and he last pitched on Thursday.
When there's an obvious.
Yeah. I mean, Taijuan Walker's had a good season. He would be probably my next choice, but Ryu's the guy.
Bubs?
Well, it's undoubtedly who's going to start. I mean, but, I think Tony Montana has done a great job of managing this club. Charlie Montoyo, you know what I'm saying? But I think he's done a wonderful job of managing this club through many of these obstacles that this team has faced. I mean, and this is a different year for all clubs. So, I mean, all managers really should be given a pat on the back because this is it's been difficult. But I think in the Blue Jays case, it's real easy to be Charlie Montoyo because you're, in essence, exactly what the Jays wanted when he was hired 2 years ago, a puppet, right? You're a puppet because you've heard these words used with the Blue Jays several times, and it's coming out more and more. Collaborative decision, collaborative effort. Nothing Charlie Montoyo, basically if you had a Jimmy Williams and Bobby Cox and Cito Gaston, those guys as managers back in the day made decisions on their own. They were hired to make decisions in terms of batting order, lineup, starting pitching, all that kind of stuff. That does not happen in Blue Jays land. It's all coming out, folks. It's a collaborative effort, one with the general manager, the input from the manager, and of course, input from statistics, analytics, the computer. So if he's been told, do not name your starting pitcher, which I believe he has been told, because we're going to analyze this before we make that collaborative effort. Charlie Montoyo is doing a great job as the manager because that's what he's been told to do.
Quite frankly, I don't believe that there is much, if any, value in a manager anymore. There used to be a lot of value in a manager. I truly believe, and I'm not saying this to be silly or whatever, if I owned a baseball team, since we're all trying different stuff and we all want to go with analytics and everything else, I wouldn't even hire a baseball guy as a manager. I would find some sort of psychologist, some sort of motivational expert, because that's what a manager is about now. He's about managing personalities as opposed to figuring out batting orders and pitchers because of what you just said. It's all driven by numbers and computers and algorithms and spreadsheets. I don't believe, and not just Montoyo, I think for most managers, I don't believe there are many baseball decisions that managers are making anymore that are because of a manager's gut feeling or something. It is all about the numbers. It's all Moneyball. And I would hire a guy who was just a fantastic people person who can massage the personalities in the room and keep guys motivated. And to answer your question, I think Charlie Montoyo has done a fine job as a people manager. I don't know that we can
say it, puppet.
much.
Puppet.
Huh? Puppet, but I'm saying that's on the baseball side of things. Yeah, on the baseball side of things, he's entirely following the numbers and following what he's been told. As far as people happy, okay.
But you know what? This isn't anything new in terms of playing the percentages. How many eons have we heard about? Hey, there's a left-handed batter. It's the 7th inning. We're up by 1. We got to bring in the lefty because the percentages say that this left-handed pitcher is going to get out this left-handed batter. It's just been exploded in terms of the number of numbers, the number of stats that are available now to managers, to front offices to go on in terms of building rosters. It used to be just used in-game. Hey, we got to make some in-game decisions. What relief pitcher are we going to go to? Are we going to extend this starter for one more inning or a few more outs because they were playing those percentages? They had some little numbers. Now we have gargantuan numbers about day games and on grass and whatever the case is. The stats are absolutely overwhelming. And I think sometimes it's analysis by paralysis, and some of these managers just can't make those in-game decisions anymore.
But what happened to feel? What happened to personality?
Gone.
What happened to, you know what? My guy's going good right now. All right. I mean, I'll lay this out to you guys. The fact that right now, the Blue Jays' longest pitching outing happened on game 57 of 60. And that's by letting Ryu, the guy you paid, what, $84 million to? I mean, there are many starts that I could think of. I can't remember how many starts he had. I'll throw out a number. Yeah, he had a dozen starts this year. There were at least 3 or 4 of them where I thought this guy could have pitched well into the 8th inning. But they don't do it anymore. And I mean,
because of the numbers.
You even had an idiot. You had a guy like Tanner Rolark who really didn't have a right saying it. But I got what he was saying. Look, I get better as the game goes on. And he gets pulled every single outing after 4 innings. Now, to the Blue Jays' credit, the numbers did prove that when guys in the other team saw him a third time around, he just wasn't the same guy. So he kind of didn't have a right to say it, but I understood as kind of an old school pitcher what he was trying to say, that he didn't agree with this. Because again, I could show you at least 4 or 5, maybe even 6 starts where Ryu deserved to go past pitch into the 7th inning.
But take those examples, and I agree with you, and I agree with the concept. I think it's ludicrous now. Bubba, Rick, you guys are having a great day at work, and all of a sudden, for no apparent reason, you're feeling great, then for no apparent reason, your boss says, okay, that's it, you're done now for the day. And you say, why? And he goes, well, because typically this is when you fizzle out. And I think a lot of people would say, well, wait a second, how about you wait and see if I fizzle out? Or even if you think that's going to happen, have someone ready to step in. But, today I'm feeling great. And if you had the bullpen up, ready to go in some of those times, and any trouble you get into, that's fine. The number thing drives me nuts for the reason you just said, Bubba. There's no feel anymore. There's no baseball has been turned into a video game in a lot of ways that we reduce simply to numbers. And if we just want to look at numbers, we're eventually going to have a World Algebra League. And I don't know who's going to watch that. But this to me, this is why I'm saying managers are no longer baseball guys. There's literally no reason for a baseball manager to be in a uniform anymore, because he has almost nothing to do with baseball. He has everything to do with personality massaging and interpreting algorithms. That's it.
Yeah, gone are the days where, Tom Seaver, we just lost him recently, would take the ball and go 9 innings or 8 innings if he got roughed up because he let, 5 runs in. But the fact of the matter is we don't have those guys anymore. The Max Scherzers are going to go away soon. The Garrett Coles are going to go away. And even he's not a lock to go 8 or 9 innings anymore. Once you get to the 6th or 7th inning, it's bullpen time. And that's how rosters are now being built. They're built to go to the pen by at least the 6th inning, if not sooner, if things go awry. And that's where baseball is right now, and it's a sad state of affairs.
I mean, what happened? What happened to the complete game? Does it exist anymore? I mean, there's a couple guys that threw no
elbows,
Tommy John,
shoulders.
Yeah, but I don't understand it. Yeah, but I don't get it, guys. You could look at Ferguson Jenkins, Nolan Ryan, Steve Carlton. These guys pitched for nearly 25 years. Yeah. And these guys had, even up to recent times, Roy Halladay. I mean, there are times where he had, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe up to 10 complete games. Some of them losses, unbelievably, in tight games. What has happened? And these guys didn't have injury problems as much. These guys are treated like glass. And you know what? And we're kind of cornering this into just pitchers. Again, what about? I keep hearing that. Vladimir Guerrero has the day off today. We're resting Kevin Biggio today because he needed the day off. What the F? Like, are you kidding me? In a 60-game season? Why do you guys need breaks? Because the computer says if he gets a couple of days off. Like, I mean, are we ever going to see a guy start 4,000 games like we did one time? Like, why? Why?
No, and we're never gonna see a guy probably, or very, 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 very few throw 200 innings, and we're not gonna see guys, complete games. Forget it. I mean, I wondered this year a couple times. It wasn't an issue, but if the Blue Jays had a pitcher throwing a perfect game through 6 innings, would they have left him in? And I'm not positive they would. I mean, they might have out of pressure to do it because of the tradition. But you got to believe that discussions will be going on saying, do we get him out? He's at 90 pitches. He's at 90 pitches. I mean, if we get him to 100, his whole arm is going to explode and fly into the stands. So to get back to where we started, because we could go on this one forever. I mean, about Charlie Montoyo. I don't know how you grade a guy as a manager who I believe does as little away, separate from the algorithms and separate from the numbers. I mean, Rick, you or Bubba or I, and this is not being silly again, the 3 of us could have done a lot of what Charlie Montoyo did as far as the baseball side, because we're simply following the numbers. The behind the scenes and the massaging the personalities and everything, that's a different thing altogether. Keeping things intact in the locker room, in the clubhouse, that's something else. But the number thing, we could do a lot of those things now, because you're just following what the numbers and what the things say you're supposed to do.
Yeah, the baseball manager, I think, might be the easiest or most insignificant position in terms of, professional sports when you compare it to, a hockey head coach, even a football head coach, basketball. There's so many, because those games are a little more flowing as opposed to start-stop, even though football is a lot of start-stop. There's a lot more, I think, gut feels that you have during the game to say, all right, they're doing this, we got to do this, or we got to change it up, or we got to focus more on this aspect of the game. And just back to the starting pitchers too, I think it's all about return on investment as well. These teams have invested so much time and, most importantly, money, that they don't want to blow out their elbows or blow out their arms or waste them early on in the season opposed to, the playoff time. Not to say that they're going to go 8 or 9 innings during the playoffs, because they don't do that either. But I think it's all about, if they didn't pay these guys $30 million a year, I think they might stretch them a little bit more.
But I'm going to go back to those guys, those old school guys that I just talked about. Relative time, relative pay, they were getting the $1 million that they're getting right now and still produced results. And produce results at an accelerated pace over an elongated period. Certainly much more than what we're seeing right now. I feel like the more you baby these guys, pitchers, and what we're talking about here, is that the more sort of glass they've turned into. And I don't understand it. And I can't understand. Is this why guys like Buck Showalter, who, I mean, yeah, he made a dreadful mistake in that wild card game against the Blue Jays a couple of years ago. But, okay, you're going to make wrong decisions. You're going to make right decisions. There's a guy that's won a certain amount of games, won playoff games, won series, an established manager. He can't find a job. Is it because he won't be a puppet? That's wrong.
That's exactly why. And what has always blown me away about this, and we started talking about managers, we're on to pitchers, that's fine. Modern science, modern sports science, isn't it supposed to make guys better? Isn't it supposed to make guys more durable? And here we are going back the other direction, where we're so worried that guys are going to fall apart that we're afraid to play them, which just, totally amazes me about this stuff, because as time goes on, we're always supposed to be getting better and better and better and more durable and stronger. And baseball feels the other way. Baseball clearly feels like we have gone from a time of great durability to a time of incredible fragility where if you overuse a guy even a little bit, he's going to break.
It's a great point because when I look at football, when I look at basketball, when I look at hockey, I focus on bigger, faster, stronger. Can we see that in baseball? I don't think so. Are guys throwing a little bit harder? Yeah, maybe. Christy Matheson was reported to hit 100, and that was back in the 19 teens, in the 1920s. I don't know if it's bigger, faster, stronger in baseball. It certainly is in the other sports, thanks to modern science and thanks to training regimens, eating better. Baseball has not followed suit.
There is a documentary, I think it may be on Netflix. I don't know where I saw it. I think it's Netflix. And I think it's just called Fastball. And it's a really interesting piece about the history of fastballs. And one of the things they did is using an experiment to break down pitches over the years. Because who knows? I mean, it used to be the thing was timing with a clock. And then, and they found that the guy who threw the fastest pitch ever, faster than Aroldis Chapman, everything, is Nolan Ryan, who threw, it probably was in real time. I think the number was like 106 miles an hour. Nolan Ryan threw forever. If Nolan Ryan came along today throwing as hard as he did, first of all, he wouldn't have 7 no-hitters because they wouldn't have left him in that long. He wouldn't have had all the wins. He wouldn't have had all the strikeouts. He would have been babied. And, Bubba, you mentioned Ferguson Jenkins. Same thing. I talked to Fergie Jenkins a number of years ago when he was in Ancaster. Never got injured. Never had an injury. And you know, you ask him why, and he goes, I don't know, but I didn't. But we still babied him. It's amazing to me that science that seems to be able to fix everything is working the opposite with baseball.
I just don't understand. I mean, I didn't even know that, Scott. That's incredible. Never injured. Like, think about that. Never injured. I mean, and you know what? You don't even have to go that far back. Think about a guy like Randy Johnson.
Yeah.
All right? Threw hard, threw left-handed. And you know what? He did it out of a bigger body, which would probably lead you to believe that he would be injured more so than a more smaller, compact body. I mean, again, the pitch into his 40s, well into his 40s, actually. I just don't know why this isn't not allowed to happen any longer. And I think in many ways, too, it ruins because we've just now brought up some greats, like greats of the game. Who are the greats of the game right now? Trevor Bauer? I don't know. Like, who are the great pitchers of the game anymore?
Well,
because you build a reputation on guys that go long, pitch into the sometimes 8th and 9th inning, that are what we call true aces of the staff or stoppers when your team needs a win or whatever the case is. I just don't know who those guys are anymore.
Rick, are you going to down the road? Are we going to talk about the great days of Jacob deGrom? You know, I mean, like the guys who are, and he's a fantastic pitcher, but the guys, to Bubba's point, who are the guys who go long now are all the veterans near the end of the road. Verlander, who's now out, but Scherzer and other guys, but they're veterans who have done this for a long time. Or, you know, maybe, what's his name? Garrett Cole with the Yankees. Maybe what we're going to see down the road is some guys who are big-time free agents say, I'll come to your team for all the money, but one of the things is you got to let me pitch. Maybe that's going to be the new thing, that you use that as a agency chip. You know, I don't want 2 lockers in the locker room, and I don't want a no trade clause. I want you to guarantee me that I'm not 2 times through the order and out, and you're going to let me stretch out. Who knows? Maybe this is going to be a new negotiating thing.
20 years from now, the standard for getting into the Hall of Fame statistically is going to be 200 wins, and it's going to be maybe 2,000 strikeouts, and might be 2,500 hits, because guys just don't play every day.
Before we go, let me ask you this question. Put these in order. I'll start, and then I'll ask you guys, because I'll give you some time to think about it. Of the 4 major sports in the States, which coaches, since we started with managers, which coaches are the most dispensable? And I would say, first of all, baseball managers, you can replace them very easily and probably not make that much of a difference. I would say NBA coaches next, mostly because the league is so star-driven. We've even seen with Steve Nash in Brooklyn now, if the players like you, Tyronn Lue, if the players like you, you'll be there. If they don't, you're gone. Hockey, I would say, would be third. And NFL seems to be the one that really still is, you need to have a great coach. Anyone disagree with that order?
No, I think you're right on there with that, because I would definitely have football as the guy that's probably under the most pressure, because he's reliant on making decisions daily, not only just in game day, on daily decisions. You're also working in coordinates with your coordinators on developing a plan of the day, whereas I just don't see the same happening on all those other sports. I think too many other things are decided for you.
Yeah, some might think it's the reverse. Hey, there's so many coaches in football, but the football head coach is really the general manager. Even though teams have GMs, he's the guy on draft day to say, hey, this is how I want my team to be built. These are who I'm going to start on game day. I'm making all the in-game crucial decisions, even though he has coordinators. Hockey's somewhat similar in terms of, the style of play, but easily dispensable. You get rid of the head coach, an assistant comes in, or you bring in a total new guy. Basketball, I totally agree. It's such a star-driven league that anyone, whip someone out of the stands to coach the team. Baseball is the easiest one to get rid of because you're just managing minute, finite details within a ball game and setting up a batting order, and any kid can do that.
What do you think? Are we running totally off base? Is our baseball managers horribly underappreciated? Is Inigo Montoya the greatest manager in the history of sports? Let us know. Our Twitter handles are on the screen. We would love to hear from you. Also, subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe and hit notification. They're all down below so that you know when these videos come out, when home games videos come out. We would love for you to join us again. We'll talk to you soon.